Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 48 of Thessia, our Australian-inspired build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be establishing the road frame and foundations for a brand new town that is essentially our mining town, based off of the super pit we built up last episode. And what I want to focus on today is really taking kind of a single two-lane arterial national road and developing kind of a township off of that. We're using inspiration from Boulder in Western Australia today, which is the town associated with the actual super pit, alongside some nice new beach designs, lots of road network fun as always. So let's start the foundation of a brand new town, shall we? So welcome everyone to the brand new town of Broker, which of course is a reference to the Shadow Broker from the Mass Effect series. So let me know if you get the reference. I'm always keen to see how many Mass Effect nerds we have in the community. So new town here. It's of course set up to be a mining town, and inspired by Boulder, as you would have seen in our introduction time lapse today. So this thing is very heavily gridded, and there's some really cool bits of kind of infrastructure inspiration I want to take today for setting up the town. So the landscape around it, as I mentioned, is very, very different to what we have near the actual super pit in Australia, but definitely want to take some bits of inspiration. So over here we've got a little lighthouse that Eggsy and Karina did for us. I'm sure we can factor this into something, right? It's be really cute developing, I think, Broker's coastline. And then we've got a little beach here to make use of as well. Probably not going to be massively touristic. Maybe we could even do a bit of an industrial beach. Maybe some sort of import-export functionality available here on a smaller scale to the port in Sentinel, of course. Either way, I would like to start by upgrading a section of our road here into 2-lane. And this is going to start forming the backbone of our city here. So let's bring this down here, and I want to keep it running in quite rigid segments, I think. So I think we're going to stick to units of 5, and I'll have this go right down there for right now, and then off of the back of this we can really form our grid. So the first bit of infrastructure I want to bring into the town today is actually going to be a train station. So the train station in Boulder has what looks like long since been abandoned. So we're not going to do that for our city, because of course we do have a pretty extensive train network in Thessia. So I'd like to keep it functional where possible. So let's have our road come down here, and we'll start to form our sort of main Boulder-inspired grid off of this. So I think with the train line, it could be worth breaking it now. I'm pretty sure there are intercity connections traveling this line. Let's just have a little look here, see if we can see any. There's commuter train, because Sentinel train station should be accepting intercity trains as well, which it is. So I do want to maintain this line that runs around, but we also need to bring one off of the side of it. So there's a natural little hill here in the landscape around Broker, and I think we're going to kind of run with an elevated design, I think, here today. So let's first of all pop down our seaside resort station. I think it's the go-to, isn't it, for kind of old world vibes. And I want to elevate this just till I start to get that cliff texture starting to appear. That's when I know it's going to be high enough. We want to push this back off the road as well. Now we could possibly do some little keys and embankments here to help it settle in a little bit more. But really what I want to make sure I'm clearing with this elevation is the roundabouts here. So let's turn our road tools and we want to force elevation from this point, I think. And I think we could just actually cut straight across the roundabout if I dare. Let's do... I think I quite like it offset. We'll worry about the tree collision in a second. But otherwise, how do we feel about that? I kind of need a car, really. Here you go, Mr. Van. Would you like to be our guinea pig? Yeah, a van pretty much clears it. Could do with a truck, really. I think there's enough clearance there. If not, the clearance police will be on to us, of course, in the comments. Cool. And then we can come across here, and then just want to meander, really, without generating a secondary pillar. That should be okay. Here we go. Here's the garbage truck. Let's see if he clears it. Moment of truth. Looks like it's going to be a little low, actually. Yeah, he is. He is clipping that, isn't he? Yeah, okay. So maybe 9 meters then would be a more appropriate clearance. So let's go from this node here. Grab all 3 that come near the road, and then we'll come up by 2 or 3 more steps. Yeah, he's going to clear that now, isn't he? Cool. That's a little bit better. And then with this rail, we will come from here for a little bit further, then force ourselves back into the elevation. And then we'll have this, and this can hopefully just curve back into that rail like that is what I'm after, I think. We have also removed the power lines off this particular rail as well today. I think I will almost just upgrade a little segment of this near the junction so it's not got the power line interference. That seems a little better, doesn't it? So I was using it with multi-tool to just slope this back out. And we'll go from this point here down to this one. That drops it to 1.7. Maybe we could try 1.2. 0.8 I think would please the train police a little more, right? So the main line here can fork off into... Let's also do a little bit of sloping here. We can tell there's a touch more. What's doing there, doesn't it? There you go, 0.2 seems a little friendlier. Yeah, so the line here will fork off into Broker. And then with the other side of this line, I think it's going to be a pretty similar story as we carve through. So I'd like to maintain some little hills either side of the rail. So I think I might actually just extend this little cliff out. Because there's a lot of industry between kind of the main road cutting through the town and kind of the rest of the suburb, if you like, in Border. So I want to make sure we've got the room to kind of respect that design. So this now gives us a branching rail connection that stops off in Broker. And we can just go ahead and soften all of this back out. Blend those initial terraforming works back in. Cool. So let's get a train stop in here, shall we? Of course, it's got nowhere to stop yet, but one day it will. So this is the Loop Island line, is it? This is the one that goes all the way back to the ZBD into the town, so this should be a particularly busy train line, I think. So we're maintaining this original connection, of course, for intercity trains. But right now, the actual train line can stop in Broker, which will be very exciting. So let's give this a road connection. Let's go ahead and set up some little curves here. I think I'll do a couple of 7x5 curves. I think seems fairly sensible. Of course, we might have to mess about with some height differences here because we've been playing with some pretty awkward terrain, but it should present us a nice challenge. I can already tell that's too high, so let's bring that down a little bit, and then I think I'll also tell the station to come down to that height as well. Which might just mean us having to multi-slope out a couple of the other connections, but we can refine any discrepancies during the detailing time, that's of course. Same thing over there as well. Cool. Yeah, so I think we're a little happy with that. It's going to give us quite a unique frontage on the train station as well, isn't it? Get a little park and some trees off of that too. And then the rest of the border off the back of that is very compact grid. And I think I almost want to leave a tile of space between the houses because we could possibly squeeze a 1-unit road through there. There are some very sort of alleyway looking roads between the backs of the houses, so we could do that as well. But we'll see what happens. But either way, this is what I want to happen here. So a tile of space between our housings, and I think we'll do blocks of 30, I think. And then we want to leave distances of 11 units between. So when we come to little bits of awkwardness like this, let's get as much of that back-to-back grid as we can, so we're saving that tile of space between, of course. And then with here, this is some quintessential node controller work, I think, isn't it? So let's shift our orange friend around here. We'll also square off this entire section here. And then, yeah, just keep shifting orange till it's about there. Give everyone a little square off as well. And that way we can have it in the same node without creating any more awkward node interferences that the sims won't like using, but still maintain the structure of our grid. And then with this one here, that one's perhaps a little on the close side, but I think it's something we can live with. Yeah, I think we'll keep this one like this. Probably remove some extra pedestrian crossings here too, especially on the blue node. And probably the red one here too. Cool. So we can kind of blend that one in together there, can't we? See where maybe you just want to push red back a little bit. Super. So lots of different types of node work we can do around here too. So be happy with that. So we do also have a little rural camping grounds over here, Underbush Beach and Camping, which was done during a live stream. We haven't seen it. We did a little, I think this was kind of a Northern Territories inspired rural beach and camping site that we stumbled across in Google Earth. So I don't want to encroach too much upon that because the point of that is to remain rural, so I don't want Broker to be just right next door to it. So outside of this, I'm pretty happy. Let's also start taking our grid over this way as well. So definitely want to make use of this little peninsula of land, either as park or whatnot. So we'll grab this road, and again, keeping it quite rigid. Measurements of 10 and relatively sharp angles. I think where we do get these more sharp angles, I think just a touch of node controller actually. It was a 17-meter stretch. Same thing down with this one here. Stretch them out a little bit. Just helps them kind of just curve out a little bit, but still maintaining the quite rigid angle, isn't it? Nice little trick. I'm happy with that. Starting to see our main town form up here. You can also see in the middle of border there is a massive Aussie Rules football pitch, which I'd love to have in as well. So we'll actually place that down now just so we know to save room for it. Let's dive into Bad Peanuts venues and we'll grab probably, I think, Community Australian football is the one, isn't it? So there's also actually, you can see in the Google Earth there's a little sort of alleyway road that it's sat on, so why don't we try and bring that design in? Let's do a little measurement here. Not do that. Bring that down, then we'll place the park on it, and then we'll wrap everything around there. We can also see there's some height differentiation starting to appear here as well. I think I'm going to grab all local nodes and ask everyone to come to the height of... Actually come down a little bit, I think. Yeah, don't mind the little dip down there. Actually, should come off the roundabout into the town. Likely at some point as well, we will need some extra connections into Broker. Maybe another one off of this one here. That might be appropriate, but we'll see what happens with it so far. Cool. So let's grab this little Australian football field, and then we will actually wrap this up with a little bit of anarchy here. And let's just use Move It to correct some segment bends. And want it to be fairly kind of tight and snug into the field like it looks like it is in Google Earth. And yeah, let's bring all these a touch closer too. Very nice. Cool. So we're gonna have that there. And then let's use our little, what are these actually called? Two-way alleys, there we go. To connect back into it like that, I think. And then we'll form the rest of the natural grid around it. So let's have this one come up here. Box that one in. And then we can make a little bit of a, I guess a little park feature, isn't it, out here? Of our little Aussie Rules football pitch. I think that's quite a nice way to surround a park, actually, isn't it, if you're playing with the Anarchy mod installed. And then just little bits of softening as we go along, because I don't want the terrain getting too unruly around here. So I'm happy to have slight differences in height, but I don't want any kind of cliff textures appearing between road networks. So every time we do a little bit of work, just soften it back out so the height doesn't become too noticeable. Cool. And we're going to get off. There you go, there's someone actually here. On foot. There's a few people getting off at Broker already. Let's just see what you guys are doing. Sort of the box factories, going home, going to a hotel, going to elementary school. That's fun to see people turning up already, isn't it? People actually getting off the main road here to come and get the train from Broker, which is nice. So if we were starting to establish some base connections here, I'd love to actually switch the angle of the grid at this point, probably aligned with this bit of rail. If I can grab that in there, and then from this point here, we'll switch to 90-degree bend, and then shift the orientation of the grid over that point. Let's bring all this down here. So it's starting to approach upon the coastline now, so we'll just bring the next road down. And I'd love to maintain the units of 10, so we'll keep making sure we measure everything out here. Then we can break off our grid here, do some slightly more interesting node control things here just to stretch the node out. And then that should give us new orientations then for the grid to start forming up. Or at least a different way into town, which we might provide that over there. See if anyone uses that. So the main road that flows through Border is also kind of integrated into the town as well. So I'd love to have that happen with the main national road of Thessia that's actually coming through this area. So wouldn't mind having a little bit of commercial here. So let's hook our roads here straight into the national highway. And we'll have it come up there as well. And that's probably about it for there. I think we can form up the rest of this over here. And then I almost want this road here now, because it's the national road coming through town, that essentially become part of the town rather than just being kind of a highway bypass essentially. It looks like where we've got the bridge section here as well, we can possibly start to integrate some little height nuances into the town design as well. We'll clear that bit of bridge section there. We can always increase the height with Move It should we need. Then we'll have one more section up to there, I think. And then I think after that, we'll have it go back into Highway Road. Something like that seems appropriate, doesn't it? It's like maybe there's probably a node too many there, isn't there? Let's remove that one. Fantastic. That's really the vibe I wanted to create. As the National Highway Road passes through Broker, it actually sort of becomes part of the town, essentially. And there's scope for it to happen there, I guess, as well, isn't there? Like I said, I don't want to take away too much of this hill, because I want it to kind of be integrated into the town, but this little node here is, is perfect. So we'll have this one do the same thing too. Wouldn't mind actually, because no, I don't want to get rid of this hill like we've said, but if we just soften it out a little bit, maybe turn some of it into green space maybe. That'd be quite cool, having some sort of green space near the elevated train line, maybe some good builds as the town continues to grow. And then I think same deal over here. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. And then I guess we'll just actually have that come down into the roundabout now. This way this whole section of the national road, like we see in Boulder, just sort of becomes part of the township, I suppose. Is the best way to describe, I think, what I want to do here. Again, like always, let's do a little bit of soften. Cool. Fabulous. So Got some commercial space here as people pass through the town. And we can also see as well there's some of our classic Aussie parking roads that we've used plenty of times before. If I can for the life of me remember where they are. We used them in Sentinel, didn't we? Can we just... Oh, let's reset our graveyards here as well while we're in Sentinel. So we don't get major death waves like we did in the last stream. Yes, these roads here. They are in... Oh, they're in the medium roads, that's why. I thought they were small roads. Do we not have a small version? I thought we did. We mustn't do. That's fine though. That's fine. So yeah, I love my little urban parking roads here. So how about we possibly look at changing this main road into one as it goes through the town. We can have some commercial down here, probably have some things stop in and around the beach as well. So I think the visualization here of the town is going to be grid here, and it's almost like kind of a bridge crossing here, isn't it? Across into this extra large bit of land. And then I definitely want that border grid formation to resume here. So from this point, we'll come out by 30 units again, and we could kind of change the orientation of it as well. I think that'd be quite cool. So let's get these set up. So I think in this larger space we'll have the roads, but I'd love to start becoming a little bit more fluid as we move around these little coastal regions. So I think we'll crack open the grid here. Let's create a new crossing point there, and then from this point we'll start to become a little more fluid. So many different points of inspiration and sort of ideas to take from Australia. I've very much enjoyed building in the Australian theme. Yeah, just so we start to, I think, almost respect the curvature of the land and then kind of break back into that grid structure where we see it. So around here also seems pretty good as well. It's not all grid throughout Boulder. There are some, I guess, more organic layouts is what we would sort of see them as. So certainly coming down toward the lighthouse, we'll make a song and dance out of this at some point once we come to build Broken Waterfront. There will be something down here, so we'll prepare for that eventuality. Let's go ahead and stick an extra node in here, and then we'll use node controller to stretch out the end one up to 150%, just so we get the cul-de-sac. And then we'll have this road here. Just keep following that topography. The channel my inner fill, if you like. Yeah, and then with all that in place, let's now reinstate that grid where we see it. But let's also try and change the shape up as well, so saving spaces like this for a little bit of green space against the water I think would be quite nice. And yeah, you can just come straight up there too. And I'd probably like to keep this idea going too, so let's just trim off a little bit of this pathway. We will reinstate it, of course. But definitely happy to just keep following the coastline here with lots of cute little windy, more organic roads. Love to know, say, if any of the Australians watching, because I know we do have quite a few of you following Thessia. If you've ever been to Boulder or the Super Pit. It's a very unique landscape. I can't imagine it gets much tourism, but maybe the Super Pit itself is kind of touristic, right? I'm not entirely sure. So I don't know to hug the coastline all the time. You know, I want some green space to develop along here as well. And we've also got quite a bit of a height difference here between the water and the land, haven't we? So we may end up bringing it down a touch. I guess we'll just see how it develops. Over here, we can definitely see where we might want to make a bit of a something out of this landscape. So let's stick to that rule. We'll do units of 10. I guess 5 is better in this case. And then we'll just let it all fall back into that grid. And let's see what's happening here. So we're approaching the beach at this point, aren't we? Let's go ahead and just trim up those landscape off all the overgrowth here. So not entirely sure what we want to do with Broker's Beach yet. But there's definitely some ideas to be had here, isn't there? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe we just need to... Because this is where kind of the Boulder inspiration almost ends, because Bola does not have a beach. It's very much in the outback. It's got that classic sort of red sand vibe, so I think it'd be a little boring to do just another touristic beach because there is quite a lot of them in Thessia now. Ascension has one, Sentinel does as well, of course. Venezia, kind of a little bit touristic, but more sort of locals relaxation, I think. So let me know what sort of beach you want to see in Boulder. If we can take it a bit more industrial, maybe we just leave it overgrown. You know, maybe a tourism industry never developed here. Maybe everyone, or the tourists on these cruise liners passing by would prefer to go to Sentinel. Or even prefer to go to Ascension. Maybe sort of Broker just isn't on the tourists map of things to do in Thessia. Maybe we could take it that sort of vibe. So, or maybe once upon a time there was a tourism industry here, but it's kind of broken down now because of Sentinel. Sentinel's kind of the place to be, if you like. Maybe we could do like a kind of dilapidated tourist beach. Maybe that might be a quite fun build to put on it, right? Lots of prop work to kind of show how crap and run down it is. What might be cool. I guess we'll see. Cool, so let's also just continue to reinstate and respect the curvature of the coast here where we can. And we'll have this one come right up to here. Road guideline will be useful for that snap actually. Have it into there, bring that one down, and then same thing we did over this point. Let's push our red friend off a little bit. Change up some of the shapes. But otherwise that road structure does respect the land, I think, and gives us lots of different building opportunities as we come to build out this area. But either way, that's pretty much the main road frame done. Let's move into some detailing. I want to get some rocks and stuff around the embanked train lines here. And just make sure we're all okay. There's plenty more IMT to do around these roundabouts here as well today. And just get everything settled in, ready for building as we begin to work on Broker for the next few episodes. I'm going to get Broker and Boulder confused quite a bit. But one thing I am quite happy to see here is that from actually inside Broker at the minute, you can see the Super Pit, which is a very big vibe of Boulder in Australia. So I'm happy to see that you can actually see the works here. And maybe some worker pathways as well, you know. Some sort of paths crossing back into the town for workers to get access into the mine. Not sure though, I don't really want public rights of ways into this place over here. But there's possibly more room for a connection on this side of the mine, isn't there? Maybe off of the national road. Guess we will see, either way. Either way, let's do some network and general landscape detailing as we begin to prepare for the town of Broker to become established. And then we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a little brief review of what's happened, shall we? So we've added in a little access road here, which I am tremendously pleased to announce is getting used by some of the heavy vehicles coming and going from the strip mine, which is very nice. And then we've added in some little grid extensions here, tried to bring in some curves as well to help break things up. There's lots of node controller vibes going on here. I am teed up our main roundabout here, which is really cute. Love watching people come in and out of these road networks here. It's really satisfying. And we've implemented a ton of asymmetrical roads across the entire road network frame. Just because we're not developing any kind of major intersections here, these extra turning lanes are really just going to help keep on top of traffic as the town grows out. It shouldn't become that much of a problem. This isn't a vastly busy road anyway. A lot of people tend to take the exit over here, kind of to get back up to Valkyrie down this road. So maybe we might need to develop something of a banana egg interchange over here at some point, should the traffic require it. But for right now, I think the town of Broker should still be okay. Got a little car parking design with lots of overgrowth. Also brought in some of that ore texture as well, so we can continue to have that slightly drier vibe that we're starting to create around the strip mine. Again, kind of real life Boulder is very much of the outback kind of red sand sort of vibe. So just got to be creative with what we can do here. Have also just noticed we need to create a little bit more clearance there between our pathway, but we'll definitely get that done. But also having people walk up and down to the back of the train station here too, which they are actually doing. Hopefully this person here is going to do it. Yep, there you go. Perfect. So they're walking up into, well, back up into to each side of the train station here, which is very nice. And then pathways just meandering around for people to get under the networks as they do arrive into this part of the city. Just drop down a service asset, so Broker has its own police station with some very like prop and decal work at the back, chain link fencing, and parked police cars, etc. With some more clever decal work around the sides, just to create little entrances and exits into the back of the station. I dropped in some of our old faithful Aussie roundabouts using the one-way roads at multiple points across the network, things that we've done before, just to help keep on top of that traffic as we come down here. And then just little bits of overgrowth and rocks and tree work around it. And it's a really cute town frame, very unique, lots of kind of different angled grids, which is very much the vibe we see in Boulder for today's inspiration. But we're looking forward to getting stuck into it, and I definitely think the run-down beach might be a really cool vibe to run with in Broker. I think we'll definitely sort of see what vibes, but please do suggestions down below for things you want to see in and around Broker as the town grows out. And then we've also just brought up some more roads around here as well that now link into that national road, which has really been a kind of a cool point, I think, today of today's episode of, you know, taking this single national road and developing an entire town frame and sort of township off the back of it, using different sort of node controller methods like we did with our main roundabout, and IMT and asymmetry and everything we like to kind of bring sort of a town plan together, if you like. So really looking forward to getting stuck in to Broker over the next few episodes as we begin to build out yet another town on the Isles of Thessia. And I reckon once we finish here, we'll probably head over and do the airport. I think it's about time for the international airport now. We'll get stuck back into some CBD building. So otherwise, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, likes, comments, and shares below really do help the channel to grow. And if you're interested in getting a little bit more involved with Egg and helping to support the channel, check out the links to Instant Gaming and Patreon below, where there's exclusive podcasts, previews, early access when possible, polls, and everything else. So check out Patreon if you want to get a little bit more Egg in your life. Otherwise, really happy with town frames, always really important for me, I think, in terms of a planning and scale point of view, to plan out these larger town frames. I always find them really useful for just sort of getting a grasp of a new area rather than building the roads and the buildings at the same time. So I hope you have enjoyed it, and indeed, as always, managed to find some inspiration. Massive shout out to all the patrons that support the channel. You are all beautiful human beings with fantastic character, so thank you for everything you do to support the work on the channel. And indeed, if you have made it this point into a CS1 video, thank you for still continuing to support Cities Skylines 1 alongside number 2. I'm always glad to sort of read the comments and see how much you guys enjoyed Thessia each week. So I hope you're looking forward to getting stuck into more Broker over the next couple of weeks as well. Otherwise, please do enjoy some cinematics of the new road network frame today as it settles into the landscape around it. But otherwise, I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.